Call the December 14th, 2020 City Council Committee of the Whole meeting to order. The clerk will call the roll.
Arevalo?
Present.
Brereton?
Here.
Flurry?
Present.
Frank?
Present.
Freeman?
Marcia?
Absent. McGee?
Here.
Porter?
Here.
Ratcliffe?
Here.
Snow?
Here.
Stevens?
Here.
9 present.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Under public comment this evening, we have two folks that would like to speak. Sandra Grant and Andy Race. Ladies first. Ms. Grant, please proceed.
My name is Sandy Grant, and I own Buchanan Street Pub. I have owned this business since November of 2002. I'm coming here today to talk to you about video gaming. When this was first approved, we were told that it would be the original 13 license that would have the machines. Today, I'm coming to ask why during a pandemic, you could take someone's license away if machines are not used for 60 days. I've been obeying the mitigation rules and doing outside seating only. Well, no one wants to sit outside when it's 30 degrees and have a drink, so that is not working for me or my company. I truly think that during a pandemic, this should not hold true. Yes, there are other businesses who are staying open and defying the mitigations. At this point in time, video gaming is completely shut down. I think that taking licenses and giving out licenses should not be happening during a pandemic. Our business is struggling already, and for you to say that you can take away a license because there's a line waiting for them is BS. I have paid my fees every year to have the games in my establishment. This year I've been open for maybe 6 months out of the whole year due to the pandemic. I should not be punished for this. I have never closed for more than 2 weeks to take a vacation, and that was only one time. Please take into consideration the time we are having right now during this pandemic and not take licenses away or give out new ones. I'm not saying that this couldn't happen in the future when there is no pandemic, but shouldn't be happening now. Thank you for your time and consideration, and happy holidays.
Thank you. And we have very good news for you, Attorney Drella.
First, I want to make it very clear to the aldermen, because they might have a misconception from the previous comment. The city has not sought to take anybody's license since the pandemic began. There's been no action by the city to take anybody's license. What the speaker is speaking to was there's a provision in both your gaming code, your video gaming code, as well as your liquor license code. One provides that if a video gaming license establishment is inactive for 60 days or more, then that license is deemed to be abandoned. We have not enforced that ever since the beginning of the pandemic, realizing that they're being shut down through no fault of their own. The liquor license is deemed to be abandoned also if a liquor store or a bar is closed for a period of time. Before you later in this agenda, we actually talked about doing this, then the governor opened everything back up again, so we didn't do it. Once Tier 3 started, you recall it was previously, just previous to the 5th meeting month, we decided to bring forward an ordinance to you, which is on this agenda, that would temporarily suspend the cancellation of licenses for not being operated, specifically to protect businesses like the speakers so that they do not lose their licenses just because they're shut down by the governor. And that's on the agenda later.
So, you're good. Mr. Race.
Thank you. You know, I only know what I read in the newspaper, and I read the newspaper about a week ago, the BDR, December the 10th, reporting on the actions of the City Council in regard to the Ida Public Library, and that's what I want to talk to you about. You know, the Ida Library, Ida was the daughter of a Civil War general, and he gave funds and the library was established. And then when we got into the 20th century, do you know that the Ida Public Library is an Andrew Carnegie library. Andrew Carnegie donated funds to help libraries across the United States. I was just out of curiosity, how many people here have a library card? I kind of figured everybody would have a library card, okay? So, you know, you all have a vested interest in what I'm going to talk about. Mayor and city aldermen. The library already uses volunteers to help. They read shelves and help to shelve books. Some of those individuals are members of Friends of the Ida Public Library. There's a separate organization, okay? Friends conduct book sales twice a year to raise funds for the library. I talked to the librarian today, and he says that the money they raise helps to support summer programs at the library, okay? All right. Volunteers from the Literacy Council use the library to help people learn to read. Are you aware of that? It's a meeting place for people who work for the Literacy Council, helping people to read. I do participate there, okay? The City Council's vote to not increase funds for the library is a vote against the children of Belvedere who use the library to read and learn. You know, and you did that at your meeting, I understand, from what I read in the paper. You put everything on hold and dialed it back, you know. Citizens of Belvedere need to contact their alderman and ask them to reverse the vote reducing funds budgeted for the library. You know, you people make the decisions, okay? There are a couple of you who made the right decision and supported the library in its endeavor to move forward. Okay, a gentle reminder. All of us, citizens of Belvedere, are beneficiaries of the good things the library provides. It is more than books and materials to read. It provides a place for citizens to gather and learn. Ida Public Library is the diamond that shines in the Belvedere community. It shines. You know, if you're familiar with the library and you use the library, you'll know what a good place the library is. It makes Belvedere an even better place to live. Citizens of Belvedere, so we're on TV. Citizens of Belvedere, I urge you to contact your alderman and ask that he vote to provide the money as requested to fund the Ida Public Library. Well, that's where I'm at, okay? I just, you know, I taught reading for over 30 years over at Riley School, and you know, we did use the Marengo Public Library. We went and took the kids to the Marengo Public Library to get library cards, and I'm sure that the Belvedere schools use the library here, the Ida Library. So how about it, guys? Think about it when you do your budget. Put the money out there and make our library really great. It is great, you know, whether you know it or not, whether you use it or not. It's just a great place to read and to learn. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Race. That would conclude our public comment for the evening. Next up, under public forum, we have no public forum to share this evening. Under reports of officers, boards, and special committees, under number 1, building, planning, and zoning, unfinished business, there is none. Under building, planning, and zoning, new business, we have a couple of items to discuss. First, under item A, Planning and Zoning Department, it's an update of the Planning and Zoning Department. Gina, Ms. Del Rose will give us the update.
So for the department update, cases are down. They usually are in the wintertime. No one thinks to apply for their variance or special use until they want to get their building permit. So this is our slow season. But we do have one variance next month, and Plan Commission just had a special use public hearing for video gaming, which will be before you guys next week. There's been some site plan reviews, Anderson Funeral Home and Faith Baptist Church. So those are still trickling in. Now is the perfect time to do site plan reviews, because that way you can get your plan approved, and as soon as the weather breaks, you can rush in and get your building permit. So although cases are down, this is usually when site plans can start picking up because they're getting ready for the spring. Zoning verification letters were down. So just some commercial ones, so properties are still selling. Historic Preservation approved the survey, which is the next thing on the agenda, so I'll talk about that at a different time. Hometown Christmas was held. It was very different this year, but I think it went relatively well. It was a drive-through in the park. Took some things into consideration. Next year, we're hoping to have it back downtown because it is a huge boost for our downtown businesses and restaurants to have. You know, we average about 3,000 to 4,000 people downtown. But it was helpful to the park district. A lot of people were commenting that they didn't know the park did lights. So it was a good way to get people exposed to the lights. And then maybe next year we'll do Friday night downtown and Saturday night, or Saturday day, like a shop small business, and then a drive through in the park Saturday night, and start building Hometown Christmas up to like a weekend long activity. So this was kind of a good segue year to start looking at new things to add to the usual lineup. City Hall also did, for those that don't know, City Hall always does one of the charity Christmas trees for 4-H. So we were able to secure quite a bit for our family that we got this year. I'm sure they're appreciative of that. Poplar Grove, their cases are down. Scanning's down. I'm still working on the comprehensive plan. Right now, we're still working on the draft outline and reviewing some of the statistics they had presented when there's more concrete document and draft chapters and stuff. I'll update you guys when the time's appropriate for that, but right now it's still very basic information. Otherwise, still lots of phone calls, hypothetical, you know, where is this allowed? If someone wanted to do this, they never give specifics, it's all speculative, but we're still getting those phone calls, which is good, because at some point one of those phone calls has to follow through. But so staff is staying busy and then helping out other agencies in the town, kind of playing on that community development portion of my job, since the planning cases, like I said, is kind of my slow year time for planning cases, so now I'm kind of more active on the community development aspect.
Questions or comments?
I got a
Okay.
question, Alderman Snow does.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask what the tentative schedule for Anderson's expansion looks like at this point. And I realize nothing's ever concrete, but it was just wondering what the tentative deal was.
I don't want to take Kip's thunder, but they did get a building permit and broke ground. So they are actually actively constructing at this point.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so moving on to item B is the intensive survey for the Courthouse Square area Phase 3. Ms. Delrose?
So last year, you guys approved historic preservation to apply for the grant, and then we received 2 RFPs. We chose to go with the Lakota group because we've had experience with them in the past on our 10-year plan. We're happy with the results. So City Council approved for expenditures up to $15,000. It's a 70% reimbursement grant with the state. The Lakota group has finished it. They're just over $14,000, so we're under budget, which is always great. They're a couple months behind, but the state did grant a 1-year extension because of COVID. It was hard for them to do the field work and to get into some of the places they needed to do for research. So we are, even with that delay, we're on time because of the state extension. The survey is broken down into 2 documents. The basically executive summary, which is what I copied for everyone. And then there's about 600 pages of survey sheets. I only copied a few so you can see what they look like. I'm sure everyone didn't want 4 inches of paper in the mail for themselves. Very happy with the outline, with the layout that they chose. I think it's very user-friendly, easy to see. They brought up some interesting tidbits in the executive summary, they were able to find information on some of the past residents that lived in that area. One being a soldier, one being one of the original dentists in the area, and that's outlined in the surveys. One thing that the Lakota group did that, because this is the third survey for that area, and we do surveys because it keeps us with our certified local government status so that we're able to get other grants down the road. One thing they did that the previous survey did not do was that they had a website, the Ruskinark website. I don't know if everyone was able to go online and play with that. That is where all the survey sheets are. So you can zoom into a specific parcel. You can ask for it to only show parcels built in a certain decade, or only parcels that are 2 stories, or only parcels that are a certain architectural style. So it's very, you can really fine tune your search, or you can look at everything and just walk down the street and have all the information pop up. So residents will be able to access information about their properties very easily. And I'm looking at, because the 1-year subscription to Ruskinark was part of the survey, looking at taking that over through historic preservation, and we can upload the past 2 surveys onto it, plus maybe information on all the murals and public art, and just keep building on that website and use it more as almost a Belvedere tourism website then, the more information we add to it. So I'm looking at all those possibilities, because in the past we've talked about how we need to improve tourism and marketing some things, and if that website's already been set up, that domain's been set up, and they were showing me how to edit information on there. It seemed very easy, that we may just go that route because it's already available. I'm just looking at the different price points and stuff on it, but that would be handled through historic preservation for now. So I do need a motion to approve the survey as presented, so it can go to city council so it can be approved, unless you guys have comments or corrections. Because we cannot get our reimbursement from the state until the city has approved the work.
I'll entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Alderman Porter. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Fleury. Questions or comments? Alderman Frank, please proceed.
Gina, I guess I'm not really familiar with the whole gist of this. So is the 15,000, is that just for the registry, or do they give money to help get these?
The 15,000 is what it costs to have the survey done. They went to 225 properties, took photos, did individual research on each individual property, and that's what's on the sheets and then the executive summary. So the 15,000 is just for the survey work. Now, what's not as relevant, for lack of a better term, on this survey than the other 2 is this survey has called out, I think it was 12 properties that could be landmarked because of the significance of either the resident that lived there or the structure of the home. So it does tell people you are eligible for national registry, or you are eligible for local landmark status. In the first 2 areas, there were a lot, and they talked about possibly a national district. This one has a little bit that could get added to the previously suggested district. So I usually take the surveys that are done, and if it says that this property is eligible for national or local, I send that to the property owner along with the letter that tells them, if you do move forward with landmarking, here are your benefits. Such as if you're local landmark, we do have that $2,500 grant we can give to you for exterior improvements. If you're national, you can actually get a property tax abatement freeze and some other financial benefits. So I will take the information and I send it out to the property owners to let them know, like, hey, according to this document, you're eligible. So if you follow through, because we won't force anyone to landmark, but we let them know that they're eligible, and if they do it, here's the benefits. That's how we got 2 houses landmarked last year, because they responded to the survey letters I sent out.
Additional questions or comments concerning the motion that is now on the floor? Yes, Alderman Porter.
I just wanted to make a comment that I'm really glad to see that they're doing this to preserve our history. You know, that's one of the things I really like about Belvedere is being able to drive around and look at the old houses and the old buildings and have the old hometown, you know, atmosphere of the old time buildings, so I'm really glad that they're doing this. And, you know, it's one of the things that actually pushed me over the edge to be an alderman was when they tore down the old Manley building. You know, I thought that was probably one of the most historic buildings in the city, and I still can't believe that they tore that down. Being the second oldest Ford dealer in the country, or
In the world.
in the world actually. So I kind of pushed me over the edge to make sure that that never happened again. So that's why I became an alderman, one of the reasons. So I'm glad that they're doing this.
Thanks.
Additional questions or comments concerning the motion now on the floor? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Arivalo,
Aye.
Brereton,
Aye.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
McGee,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye?
Ratcliffe,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
9 in favor.
Motion is approved unanimously. Up next, we have the Building Department update. Director Countryman?
Thank you,
You have the
Mayor.
floor.
Last month, we issued 73 permits for just under $1 million in value, and it brought in just under $15,000 in permit fees. We have 24 property maintenance issues in progress pending. We have about 25 commercial projects, in progress. Notably, the YMCA, General Mills, Brashan Dental. As you can see, the firebox has a new roof attaching the two restaurants. I was there last Friday. It was very nice. Also, the Anderson Funeral Home. And I'll entertain any questions.
Questions for the director?
Alderman Snow has a question.
Please proceed.
We had made complaints previously in council, and I don't know if it happened this past weekend, but over the weekend we'd wind up with all the signage popping out on the State Street about the businesses closing, particularly over in Rockford. And I was wondering, do you guys actually go in Monday morning and pull all those, and what we can do in the future to curb all that?
As I drove to town today, I wasn't aware there were any signs still up. If they are there past Monday, we do go out and pick them up.
Is there anything we can do in the future to get those taken down as almost, I'll say, when they get popped up? Because usually Saturday morning, there's a slew of them out a lot of times when it does occur.
If you want to pay staff to work on weekends, we can do that.
Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments about the director's report? Yes, Alderman Frank.
Kip, would you say that this is a lot lower than last year, considering with the COVID, or is this pretty good?
Actually, we're having a really good year. Surprisingly, we're doing a lot of windows, a lot of roofs, a lot of decks, fences. Commercial just keeps chugging along. Industrial, they're ongoing maintenance and servicing with the buildings and that. And there's a lot of, as Gina can attest, there's a lot of calls, for properties in the area, a lot of interest. Real estate is just popping right now, so there's a lot of turnover. So quite a few additions going on, just little stuff, but I think generally, and Becky will agree, that we've had a pretty good year.
Anyone else have a comment for the director? Okay, thank you, Director. Under number 3, Public Works Unfinished Business, we've had tabled the stormwater utility implementation phasing. It was tabled August 10th, 2020. It will remain on the table. Under number 4, Public Works New Business. Under A, we have Public Works Update. Director Anderson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. A few projects to highlight. Our high school and Bellwood Ponds project. All the excavation work has been completed. They put down temporary seed at both locations last Friday. The final grading and seeding and restoration work will be completed in the spring as soon as weather permits, but like I said, the excavations are completed, so they'll be able to store the water as the rains come. The expansion work that part of the project is done. Our branch pickup program for the fall branch pickup has been completed as of this morning. We picked up the last branches. Leaf collection has also been completed. And we began doing our fall roadside mowing today, as a matter of fact. So hopefully the Mother Nature cooperates with us and the snow stays away and gives us time to finish all our roadside mowing. Our Lawrenceville Poplar Grove Road intersection improvement, of which we have 2 grants to help fund. That work was completed last week with the final installation of the stop signs and all the seating work and everything. So that intersection work has been completed and open to traffic, as well as the 2 improvements down at General Mills that we assisted with, the rip-wrap installation along the Kishwaukee River tied into the bridge project, and also the new crosswalk, ADA compliant crosswalk down there has been completed as of this morning. They installed the railing, so that work is now completed as well. Open to any questions.
Questions for the director? Alderman Porter and then Alderman Stevens. Alderman Porter, please proceed.
How are we coming with the high school basin there? I see they've been moving a lot of dirt down there.
Yep, that was, the excavation work has been completed. They put the temporary seed down there last Friday, and that work will be finished up in the spring.
Alderman Stevens?
Lawrenceville and Poplar Grove, are they going to put stoplights up there, or am I wrong about remembering that?
No, it didn't meet the stoplights were not justified at this time. However, there is a 4-way stop there now, which was not there previously. So that's the next step in the progress. As more traffic uses that location, then eventually there'll probably be signals there.
Any other questions for Director Anderson? Okay, thank you, sir. Let me see. Under number 5, other, we have an intergovernmental agreement for graphic information systems, GIS, services. Attorney Dreller.
I'll do my best to explain it. You'll recall we actually talked about this. It's got to be a year ago now. A while back, about a year ago, the former agreement between the city and the county for geographic information services was terminated. That was at the time that the then director of that department left his employment with the county and chose to come to work for the city on a part-time basis, so he could also pursue other endeavors. GIS is the mapping software which the planning department, the public works department, the building department, virtually the entire city relies upon in viewing what properties are in the city, not in the city, what each property is zoned, property ownership information, your zoning maps that you see up here in city council chambers, as well as your ward maps and everything else. We really can't operate in the modern era without some form of GIS information services mapping program. While under the previous agreement, the city paid essentially half the cost of operating the entire department, including half the cost of the supervisor's salary. As I said, he's come to work for us now on a part-time basis. However, we still use the servers that are actually located at the county. The actual maps are located there. Further, we share the cost with the county of the software licenses for both the server license as well as the user licenses. In the past, that was split between the city and the county. And there's a huge savings financially by sharing those licenses with the county and rather than have to go out and rebuy them all. So what this agreement does, what it proposes to, and it's already been acknowledged by the county, and I think it's going for a vote this coming month at the full county board. It was presented to the committee already, is it provides that we will continue to pay half the cost of the server that houses the mapping software and half the cost of the master server license, which we would still be using, and share that cost with the county. Then user licenses, the license that, for example, I have to use, Mr. Anderson has to use, and the other Mr. Anderson has to use, we pay for ourselves because we're the ones using it. The county would pay for their own licenses on the client side as well. So the recommendation is to approve the intergovernmental agreement for geographic information systems between the City of Belvedere and Boone County.
May I have a motion to that effect, please?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Alderman Rivelo, second by Alderman Porter. Questions, comments, or further discussion concerning the motion which is now on the floor? Alderman Frank, please proceed.
Yes, could you tell me who is our GIS personnel that we have, and how much do we pay him?
I can't tell how much we pay him, but Grant Anderson is our GIS specialist. And Ms. Tobin can probably answer how much we pay him. We've had him on staff. You guys approved that over a year ago.
Right, he's part-time. He works on average about 20 to 25 hours a week. It just depends on the time of year, because he's also a farmer. So we budget for him about $29,000.
Additional questions or comments? Alderman Stevens.
I got a question, on the system where you go in to look up who owns what property and the taxes that are paid on it. Are these the people that update that?
So there's two different systems you may be referring to. The county assessor's office has a website that used to be free, and now I think it's hidden behind a paywall in part. And you could go to their website, put in an address, and it would simply pull up ownership information, tax bill information, assessment information, things like that. A lot of that information and that database is actually shared with GIS also. The GIS software, the public generally does not have access to. You can go to the Boone County GIS website, and there are established maps that they have there for the public to look at and to view, but the public cannot pull up, I don't believe, a lot of the information that I can pull up, that Mr. Anderson can pull up, the other Mr. Anderson, the third Mr. Anderson. There's 3 Andersons in City Hall now. None of them related. And it also allows us to manipulate the maps. So for example, when Public Works wants to figure out how many lineal feet of Logan Avenue they want to work on, they can simply pull up this aerial map, use a tool on the desktop, and measure exactly what they're going to do. We can use this to create new legal descriptions. It's essential for planning and zoning now as far as the subdivision process goes. If they want to look up, someone wants to know, hey, what's the history of my property? All Ms. Del Rose has to do is go to a map, click on that location on the map, and pulls up the entire zoning history, all the variances, all the special uses, everything ever granted to that property. That's the kind of thing we can do in-house with it. The public does not have access to that at this point.
Well, this is one of the websites the public can get on, and I can likely go up and look at my property, the PIN number, my taxes, and who's the official owner of it.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering who did that, because I've noticed-
GIS creates the database for the maps and things like that, and then the assessment office has data that they incorporate into the maps. It's called a layer.
Well, and there's 3 different. So you have your GIS, which is your mapping. You have your assessment, which is ProVal. That's where all your appraisals and your assessments and everything, how many rooms are in your house, that type of thing. And then you have your taxes, which is the free part. That's what you can get into and view, everything you're talking about. And then all 3 of those, if you're a subscribed member, all 3 of those talk to each other. And then you're able to get, a lot of the realtors subscribe to that, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the latter one, the free one, who updates that?
That is also updated by ProVal. That's the company that's responsible for your taxes and your assessments, that goes through the county.
Okay, because I've noticed some properties that I know that were sold and closed on over 6 months ago still have the original owner. Who the heck does this?
And a lot of that, it depends how quickly that the county is getting that data to ProVal. So if there's a lag in time there, which there could be, then you're correct, yeah. But that's between them. That has nothing to do with what we do, unfortunately. But yeah, it's between the county and ProVal.
I just wondered who we could talk to say, hey, some of the stuff's over 6 months old. What are we going to do
That would
about the lag?
That would be your supervisor of assessments. Okay. Yeah, that would be the person responsible for that.
Any additional questions or comments concerning the motion now on the floor? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Brereton,
Aye.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
McGee,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Ratcliffe,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Arevalo,
Aye.
9 in favor.
Motion is approved unanimously. Thank you. Under item B, we have an ordinance authorizing the transfer of abandoned properties to the Northern Illinois Land Bank Authority. Attorney Drella?
Yes, as you'll recall, quite a while ago, the city council authorized the intergovernmental agreement with the land bank by which they would utilize our authority to go out and find properties which have been abandoned, through the court process, have those properties deeded, in this case to the city, because that's the way the statute works. And it also works to expunge any prior liens on the property, including unpaid mortgages, tax liens, things like that. It's a fantastic way to take a property that somebody's walked away from, and you know they've walked away because they've have to have been abandoned for at least 2 years, at least 2 years in tax arrears, no water service to the property, things like that, and get it back onto the tax rolls so that it becomes not just an eyesore, but something that contributes to the city's economy. We've had 4 properties actually successfully go through the process to have them declared abandoned and the deeds titled to the city. One of them I did because Land Bank had not desired to go after that one in the beginning, so I did that process, and it's 407 West Madison, and that's in the city's name. The other 3 properties are the ones that we're talking about tonight. The Land Bank successfully went to court, demonstrated to the court that the properties were abandoned. The court deeded those properties to the city. Pursuant to our agreement with the Land Bank, which you authorized some time ago, we are then to give those properties to the Land Bank so that they can restore them, put them back on the market, and get funds for future redevelopment activities. So the ordinance before you tonight is to transfer the 3 properties located at 407 Allen Street, 1000 Nettie Street, and 1031 Garfield Boulevard to the Illinois Land Bank, Northern Illinois Land Bank, I'm sorry.
May I have a motion to that
Snow will
effect,
make that
please?
motion.
Motion by Snow. May I have a second, please?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Stevens. Questions, comments, further discussion? Alderman Porter, please proceed.
I did have one question here. My understanding this land bank is not just the city of Belvedere, there are other cities that are involved too, if I'm correct about that. And if so, do they benefit from these properties in any way, or does this pretty much go back right to the city of Belvedere as far as any profits made?
The land bank is put together of multiple jurisdictions, you're correct. There's a couple of counties as well as multiple municipalities. All the municipalities have had, not all of them have been successful thus far because it takes time to go through the court process. But each one of them, they identified properties that the land bank would then take, go through the court process, get title to, and then go forward and sell those in the future to build up their coffers to be able to continue their redevelopment prospects. So from that perspective, all the communities are investing in that by identifying properties which are abandoned in their jurisdictions.
Additional questions or comments? Alderman Stevens.
Maybe a little unrelated, but 1000 Nettie, we'd voted on putting the windows in it. Did that ever happen, or what's going with it? Oh, okay, still on order, because I'd wondered, I went by a couple of weeks ago and I was like, doesn't look like anything's happened, back ordered. Okay.
Additional questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
McGee,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Ratcliffe, Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Arevalo,
Aye.
Brereton,
Aye.
9 in favor.
Motion is approved unanimously. Thank you so much. Under item C, we have an ordinance temporarily abating abandonment of liquor licenses and video gaming licenses within the city of Belvedere. The attorney addressed this before. Attorney Drella, if you'd like to go through it quickly again.
Sure. As we discussed earlier, both the liquor code and the video gaming code in the city of Belvedere have provisions by which if a license goes unused for a period of time, the license is deemed abandoned, and the city can turn around and then reissue that license to another party. In the case of video gaming, it's if they are closed for business for video gaming, if they're closed for business and the gaming terminals are not operated for 60 days or more. And the liquor license, it's for 6 months or more. It becomes especially important in the video gaming context because we have a limit as to how many licenses we issue. In the first shutdown, we talked about having to do something, but fairly quickly, the state reopened for business, and it was not an issue. When Tier 3 restrictions basically shut down video gaming again, as well as indoor consumption at bars and taverns and restaurants, we realized that, especially in video gaming context, if a license went unused for 60 days because they were shut down, and there's this list, a line of people that want licenses, they might start screaming foul, that license is abandoned, give me a license. To avoid that and to be safe and frankly fair to the existing licensees in the city, they're shut down for no fault of their own. This is the pandemic and the governor shutting them down. We recommend, for the duration of the governor's orders, abating the automatic abandonment of those licenses, and that's what this ordinance does. So, for the duration of the orders, their licenses will not be abandoned just because they're shut down.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Porter. Who is the second, please?
I'll second that.
Fleury is second. Questions, comments, or further discussion? Alderman Frank?
This is not related, but sort of related. If somebody's shut down because of the COVID restrictions or the mitigation, and they do have gaming going on, does that automatically trigger, Becky, that somebody's been having online gaming?
They can't have online gaming right now.
It's shut down
It's
by
shut
the
down.
state. The terminals don't work.
Right.
They literally get turned off.
They get turned off by
They're
the state.
turned off, so they, okay.
Correct.
They took care of that for us, so, for once.
I didn't know if somebody...
No, that's a good point. Okay, additional questions or comments? Alderman Stevens?
I have a question. It's about the latter liquor licenses we've issued and the gaming licenses. If the original owner sells the business, can they roll them over, or does that have to be a total reapply? I mean, I'm talking within the last couple of years.
So there's two different answers to that. On the liquor side, they have to reapply and get a new liquor license. They would also have to, remember on the video gaming side, there's actually two sets of local permissions they have to receive. They have to get their state licenses, of course. But on the video gaming side, the first thing they need is a location permit, that you can have the gaming at that location, and then they have to go out and get their terminal fees for the terminals. We designed the location permit, because we limited the number to 30 at the initially, that those carry over to the new owner. So when they buy the property, they know they can have their location there, as long as there's not a 60-day period longer in which they're shut down. So you want to go buy my property where I have a bar with video gaming, you have to apply for a new liquor license. You do have to apply for your video gaming licenses to the state and everything like that, but that location permit is still valid for that location.
Because I was asked, because someone told me that the old Sonic had changed hands in the business, and I didn't know whether that license for liquor could be gone to the new owner and the gaming or not. Someone had asked me.
Yeah, liquor licenses do not transfer.
Anybody else? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval, the motion now on the floor will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Frank?
Aye.
McGee?
Aye.
Porter?
Aye.
Ratcliffe?
Aye.
Snow?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
Arivalo?
Aye.
Brereton?
Aye.
Fleury?
Aye.
9 in favor.
Motion is passed unanimously. Thank you. Under item D, police, body-worn camera agreement and purchase request. Chief Woody, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Belvedere Police Department is requesting authorization to purchase body-worn cameras and sign the agreement with the approved vendor. Attached are 3 quotes from body-worn camera vendors, Axon, CDS Office Technologies, also known as Panasonic Arbitrator, and Access Communications. Belvedere Police Department tested and evaluated a limited number of body-worn cameras from CDS and Access for approximately a month with positive reviews from officers regarding both vendors. Based on the attached information received from the vendors, including price and feedback from the officers during our testing and evaluation phase, the Belvedere Police Department would recommend the purchase from CDS CDS Office Technologies in the amount of $109,247 for hardware, implementation services, insurance, redaction software, and licensing for 5 years for 43 body-worn cameras. CDS Technologies, besides being the least expensive, is compatible with our department's current squad car cameras and provides the ability for the officer to activate both cameras either through the squad or by using the body-worn camera. The body-worn camera replaces the current mic pack that the officer has to wear for audio recording of the squad car video and has redaction and software capabilities to assist with discovery and maintaining video evidence chain of custody. On September 28, 2020, the City Council approved the donation of $50,000, which was intended to be used to assist in the purchase of body-worn cameras, bringing the city's cost for the implementation of body-worn cameras to $59,247. I would request a motion to authorize the Belvidere Police Department to enter into an agreement with CDS Technologies for $109,247 and approve an expenditure of $59,247 for the remainder of the agreement cost to be divided up between the Belvidere Police Department auction account, $45,000, and drug operations account, $14,247.
May I have a
Snow will
motion
make
to that
that
effect?
motion.
Excuse me? May I have a motion to that effect?
Snow make that motion.
I didn't hear him clearly. Motion by Snow, second by Porter. Questions, comments, or further discussion concerning the motion now on the floor? Alderman Porter, please proceed.
Okay, Chief, I have 2 questions. One is, it seems like Axon is the most popular one when you look at these body cam shows and everything. I see their price is quite a bit higher than everybody else's. How does that price compare to the CDS Office Technologies as far as apples to apples, as far as what they're offering? And the other question was, do we actually need 40 cameras, or can we get by with less? I mean, do we need one for everybody, or just people who are on duty at any one time?
Yeah, to answer your first question in terms of the comparison between Axon and CDS, there are a couple different reasons that are significant in terms of the price difference. Axon charges us each year for storage as well as licensing in the amount of $14,400 for both, and that's per 12-month pricing, where Panasonic charges us for 5 years roughly $15,000 for licensing, and we're able to do our own storage in-house. It's very similar to the way we store our squad car digital video currently, and our IT department tells me that probably for 5 years it wouldn't cost us more than $5,000 in order to store all of that video. So that's the big discrepancy between Axon and Panasonic. What was the second question?
About the 40 body cameras, if we actually needed 40, or because we don't have 40 officers on duty at one time, do we?
Technically no. But yes, we would want each officer to go ahead and have their own. Otherwise, you look at having to license and register each body camera multiple times, depending on which officer is using that camera, which there's potential for court problems if you have the wrong officer registered to the wrong body camera. It's a cleaner, more efficient way of having the body cameras, and then it takes the confusion out of it by assigning multiple cameras to one officer.
Okay, thanks.
Additional questions or comments? Alderman Fleury, then Alderman Revelo.
Once this purchase is approved, how long approximately will it take for the police department to be fitted with all these cameras?
We'd have to reach back out to Panasonic. The BWC, the body-worn camera 4000 that we'd be looking to purchase is going to be their newer camera. So it could take up to a couple months potentially to get the equipment, the training, and the software and that we're going to need for redaction, so on and so forth.
Thank you.
Alderman Revelo.
Did your IT, were they comfortable with all the specs it was coming with
frequency, probably HD, maybe 4K. I'm not sure about the resolution of the camera, but were they pretty happy with all the specs?
Yeah, it was, that's one of the nice things about being able to work with Panasonic. They're very familiar with the company itself because, like I said, we do use the Arbitrator squad car camera. And when Mark Gottlieb came to PSB to kind of give us a breakdown on what the different features are, cost, so on and so forth, with the body-worn camera, they were able to work directly with our IT because they do have a past relationship. And in terms of what the camera has to offer, it's the functioning and the 1080 key and all of that is very similar across different body-worn cameras, so that's not going to be significantly different. Yeah, as far as our IT was concerned, they didn't see any issues with it.
Thank you.
Were there additional questions and comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of approval of the motion now on the floor will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
McGee,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Radcliffe,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Arivalo,
Aye.
Brereton,
Aye.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
9 in favor.
Motion is passed unanimously. Thank you so much. Brings us to item E. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This will be a motion to accept Feed the Need donations. Please be advised that the Belvidere Police Department has received multiple donations for Feed the Need food drive. For those not familiar with Feed the Need, our community policing program does this for several weeks, November and December, where they go around the community collecting canned food and donations to purchase food. And then ultimately, at the end of the food drive, they donate the food that we collected to local churches and food pantries. And then they turn around and donate that food to those families that may have food insecurity. As shown below, there are currently 3 separate checks totaling $1,350 from the Cosmopolitan Club, $1,000, Casey's General Store, $250, Roberta Eichstedt, $100. The money was earmarked by the donors for the purchase of food for our Feed the Need food drive. I would request a motion to accept the donations to the Belvidere Police Department totaling $1,350 for the Feed the Need food drive.
May I have a motion? Motion by Frank. May I have a second? By Porter. Questions, comments, or further discussion concerning the motion now on the floor? Yes, Alderman Frank.
I'd like to thank you for doing that because there's a definite need. Are we going to do that after the holidays as well? Keep this going?
We do it once a year, about the same time every year. This is something that Officer Blankenship and Deputy Chief Wallace spend a great deal amount of time on. And as a side note, Officer Blankenship usually works with a lot of our VIPs to collect the food on the weekends. And he too also donates his time just to give him the proper appreciation as well, because this is something that is a generous thing that they do every year. And for the last couple of years, we've probably been able to fill up about a 53-foot semi-trailer worth of food. And it's a lot of work, and thanks to our VIPs and our community policing program, they do an excellent job.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of approval, the motion now on the floor will, when your name is called, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Porter,
Aye.
Radcliffe,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Arivalo,
Aye.
Brereton,
Aye.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
McGee,
Aye.
9 in favor.
Motion is approved unanimously. Thank you, Chief Woody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That ends our agenda for the evening. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Porter, second by Revelo. Questions, comments, or further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a pleasant evening.